The saddest part about this film is that I'll never be able to experience it for the first time ever again. I feel like we've been getting a lot of movies like this recently where the less you know going in, the better. And that's a weird thing for me to say as someone who wants you to watch this video where I talk about what I liked about the movie, but my favorite thing about the movie is that I didn't know a lot about the movie going into it. So for that reason, I'm going to avoid giving any plot details except for this very tiny spoiler-free description from IMDb. A fashion model celebrity couple join an eventful cruise for the super rich. This is a film about rich people, like super rich people. And if you dislike super rich people, this film may be just for you. The story is seen mostly through the lens of these two models that are in a relationship. And I would say that for at least the first 2 acts of this film, you really get to see how they specifically relate to other wealthy people. Money is a constant subject for conversations for many characters in this film. From the very first scene, you see this couple have an argument about money, to other characters discussing capitalism versus socialism, and the final scenes of this film really show wealth and privilege, and it is very obviously the concept that this film is most interested in. It's not subtle. This is not one of those films that cares to use nuance to communicate its point. It feels like there's very much a single reading of this film, and the director wants to make sure that you do not miss what that is. I don't particularly love this comparison, but it reminds me a lot of Don't Look Up, which is a movie I didn't really enjoy all that much, but yet I love Triangle of Sadness. Why is that? To me, Don't Look Up didn't really work that much because it wanted to be a comedy, kind of, but it was also very preachy even if you agreed with this message. Triangle of Sadness takes a different approach, where the genre, at least for the first act or so, is more of a straight drama with elements of comedy mixed in with it. The tone is serious-ish, and the comedy is very dry. That doesn't last for long, though, and where this film lands is just absolutely absurd, and we end up with just straight up slapstick comedy. But since the setup is played off so seriously that by the time you get to the completely absurd moments, it really works. And I gotta say, this is probably the hardest I laughed all year in the movie theater. With the plot being so unpredictable, I'm not exactly sure how this would work on a rewatch due to my positive experience coming from being surprised at what was going to happen next. But then again, I thought the same thing about Barbarian, and on second viewing, I actually appreciated a lot that I didn't see the first time. So there's a high chance that if I were to give this a rewatch, I would notice a lot more things to love about it. The acting and filmmaking are both really well done, with great performances across the board. I was really sad to learn that after watching this, the main lead, Charlie B. Dean, had passed away this past August, just before the international release of this film. Everyone in this film is great, but I thought her performance was especially grounded and moving. The third act of this film is completely dependent on her character's arc, and it really only works due to her emotional acting ability. It's really tragic that we won't get to see what else she could have accomplished within the film industry. What makes a lot of the other performances very grounded and authentic is the pacing and the bold decision to keep a lot of long takes within the final product. The film will do this thing where we have this extended shot on a single character during conversation, and instead of making a hard cut to another character or just completely ending the scene, the camera just stays on them. It makes everyone feel human and honestly a lot more natural, as it provides the emotion that often comes after a conversation or a single line delivery. If I did have one complaint that wasn't centered around how unsubtle this film is, it'd probably be the length. It's a little long. I'm not sure what exactly would be cut because it all feels important, but when you get to the third act, it definitely feels like the film should be wrapping up, but no, we're just getting started for more things to happen. There's multiple times when the film completely changes directions and you're being set up with all new characters and new stakes, and you're kind of missing what you were watching in the previous act. But once you're able to latch on, I think this movie works really well, and I did have a fantastic time watching it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, and I would highly recommend it to anyone, as long as you go in as blind as possible. So that's Triangle of Sadness. Have you seen it? What do you think? Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.